Well, howdy everyone, it's getting chilly in here, and I ain't talking cold, I'm talking chili as in food, and that's what we're doing today on this episode of the Chuckwagon Cowboy. So enough of me yakking, let's start heating up the kitchen, come on! Everyone, Chef Ron Locke here, and welcome to another episode of the Chuckwagon Cowboy. So glad y'all can make it with us this time. Alright, so this episode is going to deal with some good chili. And this chili comes from my mama, actually. This is her recipe. I haven't done anything to it. This is the way she made it. And it is just fantastic. It is one of those comfort foods. When I was growing up, I remember coming home and I would smell this coming into the kitchen and I could not wait to eat this stuff. It's fantastic. And there's 1,000 different chilies out there, 1,000 different ways of making this. I have probably a couple dozen recipes myself, but I always go back to the classic of my mama's because it is, to me, personally my best, my favorite, and it brings back a lot of memories. Food triggers a lot of memories for y'all. I'm sure you know that. And I just love the good vibes, the good feelings when I'm eating this. It brings me back to the days of being with the family and everything else. It's just a great time. So what are we making today? We're making what I call Mama's Simply Chili. That's it. If you're looking for a chili that has a ton of bells and whistles in it, it's probably going to be the chili for you, but it's going to be a good chili, let me tell you that. So alright, enough about me yakking here. Let's get on with these ingredients. Alright, shall we? Alright. Well, first off we've got here, we're going to start big and work our way down. We got here 10 cans that's 10 3/4 ounce cans of tomato soup. Yeah, that's a lot of soup there, but this is going to be a big chili because we're making this in an 8-quart Dutch oven pot. So that's why we've got a lot of ingredients here, alright? When we do chili, we do it big. Alright, next ingredient we got here, 1 big can, 28 ounces of diced tomatoes, and you want to keep the liquid with those. Alright. Next here we've got 5 cans. That is going to be 15-ounce cans of red kidney beans with the liquid, and that's the light red kidney beans. You can use dark too. Chili, and I've always associated chili and our chili with the light kidney beans, so I continue to use those. Alright, but you can use the dark if you want to. Next here we've got 2 pounds of ground beef, and you can use 2 to 3 pounds. It depends on how much meat, how meaty you want this. I like a lot of liquid with mine, but I like a lot of meat too. It's a good combination. I go more 2 pounds. You can go up to 3 if you want, but this is 2 pounds and that's what I normally use in the recipe. Alright? Next here, we've got ourselves 1 large onion that's chopped. And for this recipe, I like my onions largely chopped. Instead of more finely chopped, I want to taste the onion. I don't want it just to be there in presence. And these are a little bit bigger pieces here. Next here, we've got 1 large green pepper that's been chopped. You can either use 2 medium or 1 large, depending on how you find them. Alright, it comes out to about the same. And again, I don't know about y'all, I've had different chilies. I've had it where people put in the green pepper in long strips. They don't chop it up, they just chop it one way across and just lay it in. And I don't know about y'all, but I like my chili to taste a lot of different things when I'm having a spoonful of it, not one big lump of it. And that's what you get if you do it in strips. So I cut mine up. I cut mine up like so, alright? Next here we've got 10 teaspoons of minced garlic, or you can also use 5 cloves of garlic and just chop them up as well. Alright? I like the minced because it's more concentrated and it sits more well and distributes better into the chili. This is one of those things where I don't want a big piece of garlic getting in my mouth and kind of ruining the whole rest of the taste. So I like the mince because it just evens everything out when you're cooking it. Alright. And we got here lastly 4 tablespoons of chili powder of your choice. There are tons of different chili powders. I will tell you that everybody normally will have a brand preference, and so whatever your brand preference is, I use 4 tablespoons of it. And again, you'll see as the recipe progresses, you may bump that up a little bit more to taste as you're going through the process of making your chili. So these are all the ingredients. When we come back, we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to start making our chili in stages, alright? So let's pop over there right now. Well, hey y'all, here we are in front of the stove, and I have the stove turned up to medium right now, and this is going to be the first phase of making our chili, alright? So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and add in our 2 pounds of ground beef. And you're just going to simply go ahead and just put that in like so. Okay? And what you're going to want to do there, right. No mess here, that's alright. Now we're going to go ahead and brown this for about 5 minutes. You want to get nicely brown. You just kind of keep stirring it up a little bit, alright? And once we get there, we're going to come back and we're going to go to our next phase, which is adding in the onions and the peppers, alright? So let me go ahead and get this started. Alright, now we have gone ahead and browned our ground beef in here right now. It took about 5-6 minutes to do, and it looks nice in there right now. Now the next phase we go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and add in our green peppers, our 1 large green pepper, and our 1 large onion. Both have been chopped. Now what you want to do here is you want to make sure that both of the vegetables are soft, that they're cooked thoroughly so that they're nice and soft. And that's going to take about 10 minutes again on medium. All this we're going to do until we get to a certain point is going to be on medium heat, just so you know, alright? So, that's what we're going to do. Just go ahead and get your spoon, stir it around a little bit, and you want to stir this about maybe every couple minutes or so during the 10-minute point, just so you don't get anything sticking to the bottom of the pot here. And that's it. Once you go to your 10-minute point, or it looks like your vegetables have cooked thoroughly and they're translucent and they're nice, they're looking good there, we're going to go ahead then and drain off the additional liquid that's in the pot itself, alright? And then we'll bring it back and we'll go to our next phase coming up in just a bit, alright? Alright, stick around. Well, alright, here we are. We've got our onions and peppers. They are done, they're translucent, and we're looking good. We've also gone ahead and drained all the excess fat, grease, and water out of our mixture at this point too. We don't want that in our chili, alright? So we've gone ahead and drained that out. We've turned our oven off, our stove off, and we've set this back on. And the reason for doing that is because you don't want to cook this down more once you've gotten rid of the liquid. So what we're going to do next now is I'm going to go ahead and set my stove back up to about medium high, because what we want to do next is we're going to take our 10 cans of tomato soup, we're going to put this in here and we want to bring that up to a boil. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and you just pour it in like this. And what you can do here too, get yourself a spoon and just go ahead and get the excess out like so. You can. Because there's a lot still in here. You want every ounce of this liquid coming forward now. Alright? So just do that. That's good. Alright. Just like that. Alright, so what we're going to do next, I'm going to wash my hands here for a second. Think about that. You always want to make sure your hands are clean. Just keep washing them periodically while you're cooking, because you want to make sure that you're not cross-contaminating anything. We're always washing this spoon off between segments here, even though it's all going in the same pot, just to make sure that everything is up to standards and clean. So just something you want to keep, you know, it's good practice in the kitchen to have good cleanliness habits while you're cooking as well, alright? But anyway, we're going to go ahead now, and we want to bring our mixture here with the tomato soup to a boil. It'll take probably about 5 to 7 minutes to do that. And then once it comes to a boil, we're going to go ahead then and come back, and we're going to go ahead and add a couple more ingredients in for you, alright? So stick around. We're getting there. Well, alright, here we are. We have got our chili in about stage 3 right now. We got a couple more stages to go yet, but you can see here, we brought it to a boil, and what we did is we shut down the stove, because what we want to do at this point is you don't want to have any heat when you add these next ingredients in. And I'll tell you why when we do that, alright? But what we're going to do next now on a unheated burner here is we're going to go ahead and add in first our 5 cans of kidney beans, alright? And just go ahead and throw those in like so. You can see why we need an 8-quart pot here. It's rising by the moment. Just put this back here. Alright, so, alright. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is add in our 10 teaspoons of minced garlic, like that. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and add in our 4 tablespoons of chili powder. Alright, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead first and mix this up. Alright, just get it nice and mixed up. It'll take a second here to do that. You want to always work from the bottom up to get everything mixed in good. Alright, see how I'm doing that here. And what we want to achieve here at this point, and I'll be there in about another 30 seconds or so, so I'm going to talk this down until I get there. What we want to achieve is our first true taste of how this chili is going to be. Alright, because we've now introduced the garlic, we've introduced the chili powder. And that's going to give you a good barometer here of pretty much how it's going to end up being. Now, I start out with 4 tablespoons of chili powder, and sometimes I'll add in a little bit more, but generally speaking, for my taste at least, the 4 tablespoons is pretty much enough. It's pretty much enough. So I'm going to go ahead, I've got a clean spoon here, I'm just going to go ahead and take a little bit of a taste here. It may be a little hot, so if I start gagging or choking here, excuse me. Alright, let me see here. That's good. That's some good stuff right there. And I might add a little bit more chili powder at the very end when we go to the diced tomato segment. But for right now, the garlic and everything else that's mixing in with that is going to cook down and it's going to mix in really well. And I think we're good. But we'll see at the end, alright? Like I said, sometimes I don't know. It just depends on your taste and how it all works together. So right now, we want to go ahead and bring this up to a boil. Now, I'm going to turn this up to medium-high. That's about number 7 on my oven here. And you want to constantly stir this up until it gets to a boil, alright? These beans will burn if you don't pay attention to this, and it will burn on the bottom and you will have a ruined, nasty chili. So you've got to continually move this around until it gets to a boil, alright? And then, when that happens, we're going to come back and we're going to go ahead and add in our final ingredient, which is our diced tomatoes, alright? And then we're going to have some fun because this chili is going to cook down and we'll go to our 5-horseshoe yeehaw test in just a little bit after that. So come on back and the diced tomatoes go in. Well, alright, here we are at the final point of adding our last ingredient in, which is our diced tomatoes. And we're just stirring this up here. We got this to a boil, and the reason you want to get this to a boil is you want to thicken your chili up. This is the point where when you add the beans and the other ingredients in, everything kind of thickens up once you bring it to a boil. So that's what we did, and then I've gone ahead and turned it down to low. That's what you want to do at this point because you want the final phase to simmer or be on low and cook for a good half hour because you don't want to cook the tomatoes. The diced tomatoes aren't to be cooked. They're to be simmered and mixed in with everything else. That's why we add them in last, alright? So that's what we're going to do right now. I've got my 1 large can of diced tomatoes with liquid, and you're just going to go ahead and add those all in like so. And now you see how it brings this 8-quart pot almost right to the top. It's exactly perfect for this size. And this chili will probably serve, I would say, at least 20 to 25 people in an average size bowl. So you got plenty to go on here, alright? So we're going to go ahead and stir our tomatoes in at this point. Alright, and then what you want to do, stir these in for a second. Now, like so. Alright, now what you want to do is at this point you want to go ahead and take one final taste of this. And you want to see if there's enough chili powder in there for you or not. Alright, now for camera purposes and because this is hot, normally I'd let it sit for a little bit and then taste it and then go ahead and add more if I need to. Now, I know what my chili tastes like, so I took a little taste test before I add these tomatoes in, and I can tell you that I actually need to use about another tablespoon or a half. Another tablespoon and a half of this chili powder, and we're going to go ahead and just add this in as well. We're going to kick it up a little bit more, because I think my guests, the people that are going to be at this shindig that we're going to, are going to enjoy a little bit more kicked up version. And like I said, it's all about taste. And I have gone ahead, I've been fine with 4 tablespoons at the end. I've been fine and knocked it up a bit notched it up here, but with maybe a teaspoon or even 2 at the most. Usually at 6 I stop, because then it starts getting a little too much. But it's needed about another tablespoon and a half. So you just go ahead and pour that in, stir this all in, and then you just want to taste it again. And make sure that it's where you want it to be. Now if you want even more, go ahead and throw more in, alright? But at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, it's just one more revolution here. We're going to go ahead and take our lid and we're just going to go ahead and just cock it on top like this. You can leave your spoon in there if you want, because you're going to want to stir this about every 5 to 10 minutes for the 30-minute point. So you're probably going to be, say what, 3 to 4 times you're going to get in there and stir that up. Because again, even though it's on simmer and low, it still could stick a little bit, especially with the beans. Kidney beans are really funny when it comes to heat. They love to just gather on the bottom of the pan and stick, because it's all starchy and such. So you just want to keep that moving every so often. So what we're going to do, we're going to let this simmer down for a half an hour, stir it every 10 minutes or so, and when we come back, you know what? We're going to have our 5 horseshoe yeehaw test, and I'm telling you, this is going to be fantastic. I can smell it already. It's going to be wonderful. So you know what? Come on back and let's do it, alright? Alright. Well, alright folks, here it is, presenting Simply Chili. Alright, now we're going to come back and do our 5 horseshoe yeehaw test, and I hope this turned out. It sure smells good. Come back and find out what happens here in just a moment. Well, alright, you all seen the final pot of chili, the Simply Chili that we just had on the stove for you. We're going to walk over to our presentation bowl here. You see that right there? That's our Simply Chili that we're going to do our 5 horseshoe yeehaw test on, alright? I can smell it. The house smells fantastic. And we're going to see how this holds up. Alright, so this is going to be a little warm. So you might have a moment here on the Chuckwagon Cowboy if I burn my mouth on this stuff. We tried cooling this off the best we could, but we didn't want to cool it off too much. So I'm going to take a bite here. We're going to see how this is. All right. You can see all these great things going on here: the peppers and the tomatoes and the beans. Everything. It's just going good. All right. All right. All right. I'm going to eat this now. Let's see. Let's take a test here. My cameraman's giving me a look. I gotta make sure. That gets a Simply Chili. Yeehaw! That's awesome. You know, it's so great because you put all these great ingredients together, and you know it's gonna end up turning out really well at the end. And that's the great part. It's a stage recipe because you do this in stages, and one builds into each other. And that's the fantastic thing with this chili. Oh my gosh. I mean, again, you can see it's chocolatey with pepper and onions, and we got the kidney beans here, and you can see the hamburger. There's plenty of hamburger in there, even at 2 pounds, 3 pounds. If you want it more meatier, you can do that. The stuff here, the soup is consistent. It's got a thickness to it. It's just wonderful. The whole presentation, the whole taste of it all is just wonderful. You can't beat this. It's not a bells and whistles chili. There's no crazy ingredients in it. There's no, funky, weird stuff in it. It's simply chili. That's all it is. Simply chili. I know y'all have probably had 100 different chilies in your lifetime. You probably may not want to try another one, but don't take it my word for it. You know what? Try it yourself. Give this a try. What do you got to lose? If it's great, let me know. If it's not great, let me know too. Constructive criticism's fine. But give it a try. Give it a try. It's fantastic. All right. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have on this episode of the Chuckwagon Cowboy. I want to thank you all for coming and watching us today. And I hope you enjoyed this, or I hope you learned something at least from today's show. Give this a try. Like I said, don't take my word for it. Give it a shot, alright? That's it. So, from the Chuckwagon Cowboy, Ron Locke, what do I do here? That's right. I'm saying good eating and happy trails.